Hey guys, welcome to the sideboard here at the SCG Charlotte Open. I'm Ken Crocker here with Grixis control extraordinaire, Gerry Thompson.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we're just doing a regular Grixis control.
Yeah,
no one's ever seen this deck before.
It's been a few weeks, there have been some updates to the deck. I've changed some things around a little bit.
Some more Pia and Kieran's,
Yeah.
All right, so we'll start with the fact that you're definitely not playing Grixis control.
No, so last weekend I played it in Cincinnati. I went 9-0. That was great.
Yeah, it was a good job.
And then I went like 0-5 on day 2. So that was not great.
Not as good.
The thing that kept happening over the course of the tournament was I would like sit down, my opponent would play out their first couple turns, and I'm like, this is a bad matchup.
This is not good.
And then on day 1, like I just kept beating them. I would beat Burn twice, stuff like that. And then in day 2, like it kind of caught up to me, and like I started losing those matches and stuff. So I was like, well, if this is what the metagame looks like, and I looked at the day 2 metagame breakdown, it's like the biggest deck in day 2, Tron. 13 copies.
Yeah,
it's like,
that's
come on.
That's one of your best matchups, right?
No.
No, not at all. Not even close.
Absolutely. It is close-ish, but it is still not a good matchup. And yeah, so if that's going to be the case, if the metagame's going to look like that, I can't play Grixis.
But you can apparently play some Dredge.
I can. So I like this deck. I did a video on this deck a while back. A guy won the Modern Festival online, which was this thing that was like 1,000 people, 800 people, something like that. It was a pretty big tournament. First place got a set of every set legal in Modern.
Yeah.
So it's,
It's a pretty good prize.
Pretty hefty prize, right? And he won it with Dredgevine. And it's like 10-round Swiss, cut the top 8, and he took it down with Dredgevine. And his list looked good. I did a video. I had a lot of fun playing with the deck, and it felt really good. So that was kind of just like on the bucket list type of thing. And
the old Gerry T bucket list.
Yeah, we got to bring it back at some point. But
so let's run down the cards real quick.
Sure.
So those of you who don't know it, haven't seen the video or anything like that. So you got a bunch of 4-ofs. You got like a little zombie package going on.
Yeah.
So you got the Golgari Grave Troll. Obviously, you're dredging.
Skeleton, right?
Skeleton Troll.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah. So you're gonna dredge that guy out.
That's the plan.
And then you got Lotla Troll, Grave Crawler, and the good old zombie fish itself.
Yeah, so
Gurmag Angler.
So what this deck does is the first couple turns, like you are a beatdown deck first and foremost. So I did things in my video like play turn 1 Gravecrawler instead of turn 1 Faithless Looting. People were like, yo, dude, you got to be dredging. And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure I have to be killing people because Modern's a fast format, right? So remember that you're a beatdown deck, but the first couple turns you're just kind of like flipping over cards with like Satyr Wayfinder, maybe discarding a Grave Troll to a Lotla Troll, casting Faithless Looting, and you're just trying to build up this graveyard to the point where you have like one of the zombies in play, Lotla Troll, Gravecrawler, or Gurmag Angler, and then you get to play out the Gravecrawlers that are in your graveyard, which are actually cast, which will trigger Vengevine.
Will trigger the Vengevines, yeah. So that's the synergy basically. You're not a combo deck per se, but you have a bunch of synergies that allow you to put a lot of power on the battlefield very fast.
Right, there are certainly draws that make it feel like a combo deck.
Sure. So like you said, you're putting cards in your graveyard with Satyr Wayfinder and Faithless Looting. You're also doing it with a 2 of Lightning Axe.
Yeah,
you can discard.
That helps too.
And then you have the another dredge card, Life from the Loam. Yep. Obviously, you got a little package to help against, I assume it's going to be Tron, Infect, maybe a little Amulet Bloom. You got 1 Ghost Quarter main and a couple more in your sideboard.
I have 2 Ghost Quarters main.
Okay.
Yeah, so the deck has 22 lands, and the mana's pretty good despite being like kind of color intensive. You have things like Lotla Troll plus like Regeneration plus Gravecrawler, stuff like that. But it's like you can afford a couple colorless lands, and especially in these long games where maybe you're playing against a deck with Path to Exile or something where it's like the game is just going to go on for a long time. Having that Life from the Loam in your deck to make it so you'll have this card where eventually maybe you're stuck on 3 lands. You can dredge the Loam, get up to 5 lands, and then just start hard casting Grave Trolls. So I think that's a pretty important aspect of the deck where it's like you can go kind of fast early, but if they like Anger of the Gods you or something, you're going to want something to do after that happens. And since you have Loam, then it's like, well, we can afford to play a couple Ghost Quarters, so why not? Because Tron is probably one of the worst matchups for this deck. So it seems kind of weird for me to like not play Grixis because there are bad matchups like Tron, and then I just play, this
just going to lose to Tron is the goal.
If I were in my right mind, you might say,
so
I might play something like Blue-Red Twin. Like that is a deck that I feel is well positioned. This deck is not necessarily well positioned, but I think it's good and it is fun. And I've been slowly acquiring the cards because I knew that I wanted to play it at some point.
Eventually, so got to get that off the bucket list, right?
Yeah. So the 1 low main I think is pretty good. Also, there's supposed to be a Rotting Rats in the deck, but I could not find it.
Okay. So what do we play over it?
I played a 4th Abrupt Decay.
Not same card.
Not a good fit. So the Rotting Rats is you can be Hellbent and then just be like dredging a troll every turn.
Okay.
but you don't have a way to get your Gravecrawler engine started.
Sure, because the Rotting Rats is a zombie.
Yeah, so you get to unearth the Rotting Rats, maybe pitch another Vengevine that you have in your hand, and then cast 2 Gravecrawlers, and then you can bring all the Vengevines back. So that the Rotting Rats allows you to go from like 0 to Vengevines in nothing, basically. So it is kind of an important aspect of the deck, and I'm just without it this weekend. But
I mean, maybe there was a buyout on the Rotting Rats.
There wasn't. It was just
it's like up there with the Eldrazi.
I checked. I've been checking Star City's online store, and it's just like, yeah, the thing's like 30 cents or whatever. It's not worth restocking, but.
So in the sideboard, you have a little bit of disruption for the combo because, you know, Modern's a very combo-heavy kind of format.
Yeah.
So you even have 4 Thoughtseize and 2 Slaughter games.
Yeah.
So what are those coming in against?
So the deck is just like creatures and removal in game 1, which against something like Splinter Twin is generally pretty good, right?
Sure.
But I've played against things like Ad Nauseam or whatever, where it's like I'm not really operating, like I'm not interacting on the right axis here. So. Yeah, Thoughtseize is just like the general catch-all. If something like Cabal Therapy was legal or whatever, I'd be all about that. But
sure.
Thoughtseize is about as good as it's going to get, not only because you can bring it against something like Splin, take their Deceiver, but you can also take like Karn or Ad Nauseam or whatever.
Yeah.
So just a general kind of all-purpose catch-all. And then the Slaughter games were an idea from one of the posters in the video that I did, where they're like,
okay.
oh, I've been trying a couple Slaughter games, and they've been pretty nice, you know? So I thought I'd try them out.
Is there any worry about the fact that you're playing a graveyard-centric deck and the Eldrazi deck has been picking up in popularity? You know, they have plenty of ways. You know, they have main deck like Relic of Progenitus and Bajuka Bogs.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I can still just like hard cast my things and kind of beat them down.
Okay.
It's not the end of the world. And there are a lot of, like, I've played Dredge and Legacy a decent
Sure.
amount, and I'm pretty used to like playing against those things where it's like, okay, so I'm gonna play this Lala Troll and then discard my Grave Troll, right? Are you gonna say, like, I have some other stuff in my graveyard, like some fetch lands or whatever. Are you gonna like pop your Relic to get my Troll? Or are you gonna
Sure.
let me dredge? So like say I go to my draw step and I dredge, and I don't hit anything of note, but then maybe I can use those cards to play a Gurmag Angler, you know? So it's like, how are you gonna use your Relic exactly? It's if they have to just like play it and blow it right away, that's fine for me because I can play through that, you know?
so there's still some more play to the deck, even if it looks like it's only operating on one axis.
So Leyline and Rest in Peace is just like, okay, you know, we're kind of done here. That's fine. I have
hard casting Vengevines.
I have 4 Abrupt Decays. The person that won the Modern Festival had like 2 Golgari Charms, 1 Maelstrom Pulse. I'm not playing any of those cards. I don't expect those cards to be very prevalent. So yeah, if you play those, you got me, maybe. We'll see. But
well, hopefully you don't run into those here today. So best of luck
we'll
to
see.
you.
I feel like a good old 5-4 coming on, something
5
like
and
that.
4, not quite the 9-0.
Oh, I have 2 buys too. How does that factor in? 3 and 4? That's
3
a bad
and 4.
record.
3 and 4. That's not great.
No, it's not.
It's not good.
Okay, we'll shoot a little higher. Maybe 6 and 3.
Okay.
4 and 3?
Well, why don't we try to squeak in 7 and 2? We squeak in.
Well,
so that way you have to play in day 2,
so
just
for
the value.
I do not have to. I do not have to.
For the value, though.
Depending on how I'm feeling, if I feel like the deck is not well positioned, I might just drop and play some standard or something. We'll see. But like, I just kind of have to get this out of my system, and I do think it is a solid deck. So we'll see. Like, if I win the tournament, it wouldn't be like, whoa, I won.
If you win the tournament, you didn't need that Rotting Rats, obviously. So
clearly, and then everyone's gonna copy the list without the Rotting Rats without watching the deck, right? So. Yeah, I don't know. Like, if I won the tournament, cool. I don't necessarily expect that, but it's like not out of the realm of possibility either. Like, I do think this deck is good.
Well, best of luck. Hopefully you do win the tournament. And thanks for signing us in from the sideboard. Appreciate it.
Anytime.
All right, you guys stay tuned for more Modern action here in Charlotte.